And thanks for joining us on the full 90. Today I'm joined by Dundalk goalkeeper Enda Minogue. Enda, how are you today?
Oh, good, Alex. Thanks very much for having me.
No bother, Enda. And just for people who wouldn't know you, do you want to just introduce yourself a small bit?
Yeah, so Enda Minogue, I'm a goalkeeper with Dundalk this past season. I started off in the League of Ireland at Bray, moved on to Bows, and played for Athlone Town for 2.5 years before moving to Dundalk now, beginning of last year.
You came through the Bray Wanderers underage and made your senior debut quite young. What do you remember from that?
Yeah, I was about 16 when we actually played Dundalk, and it would have been kind of Dundalk in the prime, like Hooven, Dane Massey, Gartland, all these lads were playing. So I remember I didn't actually have much of like I didn't know I was playing until about 5 minutes before the kickoff. We had another keeper set to start. I was on the bench, and he went down towards the end of the warm up. So I literally had I'd say half a warm up just to get myself settled and ready, and then I was thrown straight in.
What was your biggest learning curve from starting so young and then just eventually breaking into starting 11 in different clubs?
I think the bit for me was obviously I made my debut at 16, and I loved playing. And a week after that, I actually broke my wrist, so I didn't stay in the team. I didn't play any games. So I think the hardest thing for me was getting a taste of senior football so young, and then obviously not having it there the next year because obviously I would have been third or fourth in the pecking order with the goalkeepers. So it was just about kind of staying motivated to get at it again and push on, really fight for my place as a first team goalkeeper. And like you said, luckily enough, when I made the move from Bows to Athlone, it was to play first team football. I love my time at Bows, but like I was ready to play. If that makes sense.
Mention your time there at Bowes. You want to just give us a small bit about that?
Yeah, so I signed for Bows. I think it was around COVID times. I think I did 1 year of COVID at Bray, and the next I was with Bows. And look, I just felt like at Bray, I was ready to move on. It was everything I knew since nearly under 12s. We had a partnership. I was playing for St. Joseph's Boys in Sallynoggin, and we had a partnership with Bray Wanderers. So at 15s, the whole team nearly moved over to play for Bray. So it was Joey's team, nearly just under a different badge. And yeah, just I'd spent a good while there. I kind of realized that maybe the first team wasn't where it was going to be, or it'd kind of be a third choice or a second choice. So I was like, look, I'm going to go. And I actually started off with just asking my old managers, could I train with them at Bose? My managers from underage were at Bose at the time. And I went in and trained, and then I got a text and phone call being like, look, we'd be interested in signing you. And I was about a year and a half there before I got injured and left, but I loved absolutely every minute of it. It was my first experience of kind of like full-time football. Now it was in the evenings, so that kind of hybrid setup, but it was intense. It was everything you wanted. And then obviously there was European football there, so that was a bit surreal.
Was there a bit more pressure than there was at Bray at Bowes?
Yeah, I'd say so. And like even when all of my minutes would have came with the 19s, I would have been on the bench or third choice for the first team. But even playing for the 19s, there was a pressure to win. Do you know what I mean? Like we had fantastic players. Like Jamie Mullins is now over in the UK doing well. Sean Gretton, you can see doing fantastic. So like we had high quality players, and I think we knew that we wanted to win. I think we came runners up in the league and runners up in the cup final. So we were close with that 19th team to delivering. But yeah, it was definitely a good group. Then I wouldn't say there was pressure, but I think even amongst ourselves, we had an expectation that like we should be winning games.
Then after your move from Bowes, you went to Athlone. You had a very good time at Athlone, in fairness. Do you want to just tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, Athlone wasn't what I expected it to be initially. I remember I think I signed with 9 games to go. Um, the season I was joined, basically, I'd only had 9 games left. I got injured at Bowes. There was talk of going out on loan before that. And obviously, when I got injured, it just made sense to go try play senior football somewhere. And Jeremy Lennon was in charge of Athlone at the time. And I just remember speaking to him, and he was like, "Look, do you want to come in?" And I was like, "Yeah." It didn't matter what the offer was. I was like, "Look, senior football, and you just go for this right now." And I think of the last 9 games, I think I played in all bar one, and I think we brought in about 4 or 5 players at the same time, and we won, I'd say 6 or 7 of them, so there was a big turnaround towards the end of that season, and I think that gave the group a little bit of confidence going into the next season that, like, look, we could be much better 'cause, we finished second from the bottom, I believe, that year. I think you might know. Were we second
Yeah,
from bottom?
it would have
Yeah,
been Longford and Athlone second from bottom and bottom.
yeah. So, and I actually believe even Cove were down there that year. That's how much the League of Ireland kinda changes from year to year. But, yeah, and then we went into a full season. Obviously, I don't think we started too great, but we'd got a lot of lads in. Obviously, you know yourself with a lot of foreign internationals coming in. We had a very diverse squad. You had like Patrick Hickey came in, Franz Piero, Jamar Campion Hines. And then it was important that we kept the kind of Irish lads around. Like myself was there, Oisin Duffy was there, Aaron Connolly. So it was yeah, it was a good group in Athlone. And I think both years we achieved mm, relative to where we thought we were going to achieve, to be quite honest. I remember we made the playoff, both my two full seasons, we've made the playoffs. The first year going out to Waterford, and then I was the second year going out to Bray in the playoff final. So I think we had a very good competitive group, but the hardest thing with the first division was with Cork City in the second year. And then the first year, I think Waterford and Galway were battling each other out. So it was just the competition was very tough.
Yeah, you have to say when with that are down in the first division, it's very hard to get into the top two positions. But what was it
Mm.
like playing in those playoff matches?
Yeah, it was definitely tougher the first year. Obviously, we came fifth, so we were drawn against Waterford. I remember in the first leg, I think it was 1-0. Like we held them, and we kind of went down to Waterford knowing that we were able to do something. I think we'd beaten them a few weeks before in the league, so we were confident going down. And I just remember the Waterford side that came out that night absolutely blew us away. I think Romeo Akachuku is it? He was on fire. And look, it's when you get to the playoffs, and you'll see it now this week, obviously with the second legs being played this year's, form really doesn't matter. And what's going on or what's gone on in the league doesn't matter. It's two games and teams are just going at each other. Like it's a different feeling to playing in the regular season. You know what I mean?
Bit more passion in it because
Yeah,
team. But
absolutely. Every tackle is celebrated now.
that Waterford team you played against was unreal. You have so many people over in England now, especially with the likes of Ronan is Coughlin. His name went out of my
Ronan
head.
Coughlin, yeah,
Yeah,
Roland the Dow as well is over in St. Mirren, and then Romeo's in, I believe, Southampton or one of that. Like you can just see the strength from that squad was fantastic.
but speaking about Waterford, you have another great moment in the cup. You remember that?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I was just coming back from injury, so Mr. Lee Actworthy was in goal for that one. But yeah, that was one of the highlights. To be honest, I think I was delighted for Peter McGregor coming on. I'm pretty sure did he get the winner?
Did in I think
Yeah.
it was 119th.
Yeah, because I remember Peter being getting a little bit of heat for coming in and nothing much really happening so early. But for him to come on and score that, it was just I was delighted for him. He was a great guy. So yeah, that was like those were the kind of nights we loved in Athlone, kind of hitting runs and putting it up to the bigger teams.
Right, we'll move on from the past. Now you're at Dundalk, and Dundalk, when you move from Athlone to Dundalk, that kind of like a full circle moment because your first game at Bray was against Dundalk.
Yeah, absolutely. To be quite honest, no, I moved on from Athlone. I just felt like the time there was over. The story and the group of players we had, we kind of I felt we'd reached the ceiling with it. Um, And yeah, when Kieran Kilduff spoke to me, obviously I would have had a really good relationship with him from being out loan and with the Maynooth University. Um, it just felt like the right next step. Do you know what I mean? It was going to be a competitive team. I knew obviously what was going on in the background of the club, but no, I had faith in the gaffer that he wasn't just selling me a pipe dream. That it was a club that was going to be there, everything was going to be in place. And then I kind of spoke to a few of the lads who were also considering going in, and Yeah, it was. I remember saying in my first interview, it was a full circle moment.
Yeah, you a lot of Athlone players and players you would have played with at Bray and like suppose went into Dundalk. Did that help in your settling in there?
Yeah, absolutely. Because when you look at it, the turnover from last season to this season, Dundalk lost an awful lot of players. Like obviously, we managed to keep A. Dervin, Daryl Horgan, Kenny, Iowa, and a few of the other boys. But like, a lot of players needed to kind of put out a squad. So obviously coming in, Leo Jackson, Dean Ebe, I would have known very well from our time in Athlone, and even the gaffer and Ken Kieran, we would have known pretty well. Obviously, I would have played with Keith Ward at Bows, so to see Wardy come in, it was great. He's a fantastic character around the place. He knows how to kind of get you going. He knows when to kind of give you a little bit of stick and make sure you're still on it. But I really feel like we found that balance between young creative players and hungry young lads, as well as experienced pros. Like Chief O'Keefe is just he's been fantastic with me all year. So I found that the squad was built really well, and you felt like we had a solid squad from start to finish.
Now you suffered a few injuries throughout the season. How did that affect you mentally?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely tough. The most I've learned this season was definitely off the pitch. It was definitely about mental, looking after myself, kind of understanding how I was feeling, understanding what was going on, and just speaking out and getting help off people, and just making sure I was okay. Do you know what I mean? I think I started the season four games, four clean sheets, was playing best football I've ever played. And I remember being in Kerry away on the third league game. And I think Sean McHale's been pushed into me, and I had my hand on his back. And straight away, I felt like a sensation in my pinky finger. And I was like, something's gone there. I was like, it could have been about 50, 60 minutes into the game. I remember thinking, something's gone. And we actually didn't get it looked at till the Wednesday. So that was the Friday. It was nearly 5 days later. We got the scan. We realised that I'd snapped the bone pretty much in half. So that unfortunately took 10 weeks of my season. Um, and yeah, it was definitely to accept in the beginning because I felt I'd been playing so well. And then after that, I kind of had to just quit feeling sorry for myself, get back into the gym. I remember Ronan Murray, our S&C, he had me on the bike when we were down at training. So there was no days off, so to say, do you know what I mean? It was definitely a mental challenge this year.
Your counterpart in Peter Cherry has some great experience in league. What is it like to have that experience behind you, not just from Peter Cherry, but from everyone in that club?
Yeah, it's a massive club, massive characters. Like you can see our staff this year. Ronan Murray, he's played in the UK. Dane Massey has a load of honours in this country, and Pierre Cherry is the same. I'd say after this season, he's the oldest goalkeeper to ever play in the League of Ireland. So we had a lot of experience. The Gaffers played as well. There was a lot of experience around us because it is a young team that are still trying to find their way in football. But Pete was fantastic with me this year. Um, Obviously he came in the goalkeeping coaching capacity and was working with me then. And obviously when I got injured, he was the second choice, or he took my place. So yeah, I think if you ask him, I probably made him play a few more games than he wanted to this year. But no, he was buzzing around the place even when he was playing. He looked like he was enjoying it. So no, I'm delighted for him that he got a good few more games in. But it was fantastic to learn off him. He's, like you said, he's played for years now, and it was just having that calming presence in the change room, not just for me, but I think for all the lads. When it gets closer to winning the league, you need voices that are not just loud for the sake of it, but like know what they're saying. Like Dane's been there, he's done that, he's played in Europe. It's the same with Peter. He's been around. He understands how to kind of control the group.
Now you had Cove breathing down your necks nearly the whole season. Did
Yeah.
that push you on? Did that little niggle in the back of your neck like these fellas are gonna come and are gonna come up and take our position if we mess up once? Did that pressure really push you on?
Yeah, I think we weren't too concerned. If I'm being honest, we weren't too concerned. I think the message the whole way from our side was we'll look after ourselves. Do you know what I mean? I don't think we were too worried about what they were doing. Now, look, we know it got close. I think one weekend it got down to 1 point, um, and we ended up winning it by 10. Do you know what I mean? So they definitely were breathing down. But I've always found that anytime we played them this year, we were much the better team, and we knew that no matter how much we messed up, the worst that it would come to was a head to head on the final day. I think we would have had the confidence going into that one. But yeah, it's definitely tough, and it was a new experience for players like myself. When I think if you look at my time in Athlone, I don't think we would have been top of the league more than one weekend, the first weekend of the league. So when you're on top and teams are chasing it, it is a different feeling. But I think what we done well this year was we looked after ourselves and we owned our shit, so to say. Like when things weren't going well, you look at yourself, you take accountability, and you own it. And I think that's what stood to us all season long and getting us over the line.
In some crucial moments, I believe it was you made some a great penalty save, but in moments like that, what does go through your mind?
Yeah, it's surreal, to be honest. It's tough in a team that dominates the ball and has a lot of chances. Some games you can be very, very isolated and not really touching the ball much, and it's a great feeling that when you are called upon, that you can deliver. Um, yeah, I just remember they got that penalty, and I think it was Daryl Horgan came straight up to me and he just said, "You got this, you got this." I was like, "Grand, cheers, Hawks, I do." And yeah, I kind of had a feeling he'd roll it somewhat down the middle. So I remember diving to my left, but kind of leaving a lazy leg, and luckily enough, it's volleyed straight off my shin, and then it's hit a hand on the way back in. So yeah, it was a little bit hectic that game, but no, it's nice that as a keeper feel like you're really contributing to the end goal.
Now, obviously, you won the league and you've won two other cups as well, including Leinster Junior Senior Cup. But what was the best moment in the season?
Oh mate, you're killing me here. I'm not even entirely sure. Like we all said the trophy lift against Finn Hart was something really special, but a lot of us looked at Cove the next week. It was it was such a good feeling to go down to Cove a week after all the craziness that had gone on and still deliver a performance. And like there was like six debuts that night or five debuts that night. And as a team, like it would have been very easy to sack that game off and just be like, oh, whatever happens, happens. But to be fair, the buzz coming back up on the bus after beating Cove, I'd say for me was one of the highlights this season. Obviously, the full time whistle at Finn Harps when everything went absolutely chaos because Dundalk, like on that whistle, Dundalk were back to where they belong and where they need to be. Do you know what I mean? So having a part to play in bringing Dundalk back is probably the highlight for me. Yeah.
I have to say, the fans in Dundalk are probably one of the best in the league, including the Premier Division. Just, I know the league don't like them, but the flares, shows that they put on, and just the celebrations at full time were something to see. Like, uh, how were the fans in? How were the fans in your perspective?
Ah, incredible. I'll always remember we played the Jim Malone Cup was ourselves against Drogheda, and that I think there was nearly 2,000 people in the stadium. Now, other people from outside Dundalk and Drogheda would look at that as like, oh, it's just whatever, they're playing each other. Like that holds a bit. No one will admit it. That game holds a bit. That game is your standing for the year of Dundalk versus Drogheda, especially with us being in the first division. There was a lot to play for there. And I remember looking over and the shed end was absolutely covered in flares. And I was like, this is crazy. But then I remember a week later when we were playing Athlone in the first game of season, the shed was like a sea of red from one end to the other. There's actually some brilliant photos of it. Um,
Your father
and I
got a good few.
remember, yeah, I'd say it was me dad. I got a good few. But I remember I think it was Harry Broom or Dean Ebbe turned to. I was like, lad, this is unbelievable. And that was my first moment, kind of. on a football pitch where I would have stopped for a second and went, Jesus, these fans are crazy. And to be fair, they stuck by us all season. I don't think there was ever getting on our back. Obviously, there was frustration towards the end of the year when it was kind of like, just need to get this over the line, just need to get this over the line, and it keep dragging on. But I would never said they never turned on us. It was just encouraging us and wanting us to go again. Like Finn Harps on a Monday night, they were up there. Kerry away twice, they sold the place out. Like it was just phenomenal support all year.
All right, I'll move on from Dundalk and just been around the league a few years now. How has the League of Ireland changed and evolved since you started?
It's even since I started, mate, it's absolutely different to to what it was. I was when I started at Bray, it was a club once again kind of in financial trouble. Do you know what I mean? And you look where Bray are now; they're a solid club, albeit they're in the first division. They've sorted themselves out. They've got fantastic players, and they look like they're putting on a push for the playoffs. I think overall the league has become a lot more professional. Um, it's a lot more celebrated. It's a lot more recognised even in public. Like it wouldn't have been a thing when I started going to the league that it was so accessible with like the FAI Connect app and LOI TV. You were kind of relying on whatever game was on the telly each week if there was one. But I think it's a place where players want to be now. Do you know what I mean? You can see that with lads like Ali Coote signing multi-year deals at Shelbourne. It's no longer just a pit stop for players or let me come on loan and get a few minutes. It's where players want to be. And I think the league's going in the right direction. Look, obviously more needs doing and true investment into our academies, we can progress the game. But I think it is on the right path, and I think Mark Scanlon and Will Clark have been doing great work in the FAI to really boost the league.
You mentioned the academies there. Now, it's been under fire recently, but do you think there has been improvement since you started in the academy system from getting players from the like of under 12s through to a senior team, no matter if that's locally or just anywhere around the country?
Yeah, because my Joey's team would have been very successful. And I could tell you now that there's about 4 or 5 players off my schoolboy team that left at 16. One of my best mates, Shane Flynn, would have left just after TY, I want to say. Like they done their junior cert and they left, and that was it, Alex. Do you know what I mean? So now, obviously, with the change in the rules, you look at players like Vinny Leonard or Sean Keogh that we had this year, who well, obviously, Sean had to stay till he was 18. Vinny would have to stay till he was 18 if he had any intention of going abroad. So that does nothing but favours for the league. These boys get experience, they get playing more, they're ready for senior football, but it also shows the profile of the league and the quality of the league that we have coming through. So yeah, it's it is catch-22 because some people feel like if they don't go away as young, they're missing the contact hours compared to other academies. But you can see the kind of double-edgedness of that sort.
Or when you look at the likes of Mason Mealy, I'm pretty sure he's top goal scorer and he's 18, joining Tottenham
Oh yeah.
in January, sorry, well, at the
Hmm.
end of the season, sorry. But just it's unreal to see the league developing. But what advice would you give to any young player, especially young goalkeepers that are coming through the Irish system?
Um, Stick at it. Um, there will be days when you want to pack it in. There's 100% going to be days where you feel, oh, look, will I just go play Leinster Senior? Not even Leinster Senior. Will I just go play local with the lads and be a winger or a striker or something? If you have a passion for goalkeeping, stick with it. It is the most rewarding in the world. It's the toughest, it's the most isolated, but for me, it's the most rewarding. And look, contact hours. It's kind of what I said again. Contact hours. You'll find it hard to get as much coaching and training as you need. So you need to have the kind of the independence and the responsibility yourself to go out and do the extra bits that no one's going to be watching, but you're going to do it anyways.
Right, I won't keep you all day, but one last question. What's next for Enda Minogue?
What's next is a nice holiday. go to Miami, switch off for a bit, and then look, I'd love to be in Dundalk next season. I don't know where things stand with that, but I obviously signed the 1 year. So look, the League of Ireland is an absolute roundabout. I'm sure there'll be players flying around all off season, but I've enjoyed my season in Dundalk, and I'd love to be part of them in the Premier Division.
Right, thank you, Enda.
Nice one, Alex.